in India. The Mughal state, the nature of Mughal state, which existed from 1556 to 1707 under the rule of the great Badshahs. The nature of Mughal state, as Professor Mushrul Hasan, who states that the character of the Mughal state as the state of patrimonial bureaucratic one, in which the Badshah of the Mughals as the fountainhead of the powers, administered a centralized state with the policy of Dar ul Shuld, or the land of peace. Then the nature of the Mughal state, in which the state of Mughals could be stated as a war state which envisioned an expansion throughout India and to consolidate by its centralized institutions. Abul Fasil states the Mughal Badshahs as the rightful rulers of India, and they represent the sovereign dynasty with the mythological origin of Alankuwa, and all the rulers in the south was categorized by Abul Fasil as the Khans, or the subordinates of the Mughal rulers. So Mughal state is considered as a war state in which the policy of expansion is to strengthen India into a land of peace, or the Darul Shulk. The policy of expansion is to counter the problems of ambitious Portuguese and the rebellious Magdis of the 16th and the 17th century. Then Mughal state was the state depended on the agrarian structure in exclusive. The state depended on the agrarian structure, in which the agrarian revenue forms the basis of the Mughal state, out of which they maintain the mansabdars and the army under the responsibility. The nature of the Mughal state would be brief as the police state of pre-modern character. A police state of pre-modern character, which emphasize the regulations of the composite cultures in India, and to ensure the law and order from invasions and the rebellions. The nature of Mughal state could be stated as the state of composite bureaucracy, composite nobility. The composite nobility in bureaucratic order in which the ruling or the ruling Mughal nobles represent the different racial and the religious communities in India. The nature of Mughal state could be brief as the state of imperial, as the state of a centralized imperialistic one. A centralized imperialistic one in which the Badshah as the center of the power, where the state is hierarchized into divisions as the subhas, which further divided into sarkars, the sarkars into parganas, and parganas into mahals, represent an hierarchized structure with a centralized control. The nature of the Mughal state represent a pre-modern character, a pre-modern character in its institutions and in patronage. The pre-modern character in the institutions represented as the bureaucratic institutions of Mansabdari system. Then pre-modern character represented in the form of a popular agrarian revenue system, revenue administration. Then the bureaucratic institutions represented in the form of the policies of public welfare, promoted by the Mughals by abolishing Zazia, then prohibiting sati unless with the permission, prohibiting the sati, and promoting a moral order as like the movement called Din-Hi-Lahi, Then the institutions in the form of a centralized structure and a foreign policy based on balance of powers between the continental empires, the balance of powers between the Uzbek empires of the Central Asia, Shah Safavids of Persia, and the Ottoman Turkish one represent a modern standards of diplomacy in the relations between the empire. Then the pre-modern character of the Mughal state expressed in its patronage, the patronage to the art, the patronage to the literature, the patronage to music, the patronage to technology, the technology in military, the technology in the form of introducing the Persian wheel, promoting the Persian wheel, technology in the form of promoting cotton bow in the urban production, Then urban production. This seems to be the patronage to the arts, crafts, and patronage to promote dialogue in between the faiths, and to establish the brotherhood relations between the faith. So represent a model of pre-modern or as a prelude to the modern ethos of the governance. The nature of Mughal state depended upon the personality of the Badshahs. In which Akbar laid the foundation for the state state pursued the policy of Darul Shulk, which was continued by his followers, successors as the Jahangir, as Shah Jahan, but upturned or reversed by the Badshah Aurangzeb into Darul Islam, to the policy of Darul Islam. That is the public policy of the state of Mughals depended on the personality of the rulers. Then the nature of Mughal state, despite of changes, the changes in character based on the personality of rulers, in total, the nature of the Mughal state represents itself as the state of Hindustani, culture, as the state of promoting composite culture. Mughal state in India could be stated as an example of a patrimonial state which intend to promote the policy of brotherhood relations and coexistence of the faith in India. Mughal state represent an circumstance in which the composite dialogues, the composite values are encouraged and led to a pluralistic assimilation of cultures in India. The nature of the Mughal state, with its macro institutions and the large bureaucratic structures, but depended exclusively on agrarian revenue, represented itself with the problem of adjusting its modern structure with the medieval production base. When the modern structure is not viable to continue with the medieval production base, in which the Mughal state became a suppressive in nature. It became a suppressive state in course of time that resulted in a distress of the agrarian community and made them to respond with the rebellions. As the Jat rebellion, the Rajput rebellion, the Maratha revolts, the revolts of Yusuf Shahis, Ismails, and the Sheikh sects in India. In total, the nature of the Mughal state could be concluded as the state of Hindustani character of the early modern in nature.